so happy to have you all on this Mother's Day. We'll have a nice class this morning to loosen things up, get rid of some tension and tightness in our bodies. So we'll make our way into our space here. We are going to start in our child's pose today. So if you have a child's pose that works best for you, by all means, go into that version. I would recommend a wide knee child's pose just to get a little deeper into that low back and those hips. If you want to add a more supported version of child's pose today and you have your bigger pillow, place your bigger pillow in front of you, maybe even a couple pillows so you have some support. And when we open our knees nice and wide and we bring our toes to touch behind us, you kind of wiggle yourself down. It's nice to slide the arms underneath your props if you're using them. You're welcome to turn the head to one side. Placing your arms on top of the props, resting the forehead down. Now, if you want to go a little deeper into the pose this morning, forego the props. I'm going to move some of my stuff out of the way here. And extend your arms forward, out, and wide with the fingers spread nice and wide. And that will immediately start to get in that chest area as well. So your choice today. And we'll do like we always do. Just start our practice by a little bit of centering here with our body, our breath, and the mind. So loosen things up, get comfortable. Remember, if the head isn't touching the ground, use your arms or a prop to support the forehead. If we're taking care of our knees, sit up on something behind you. So take the pillow underneath your sit bones, or simply keep your hips higher up and rest on your forearms in more of a puppy pose. And we'll just take a nice big breath here. So breathe in some fresh air this morning. Start to fill the body up. And let out a nice big exhale as our body settles onto our mat and prepares itself for our practice today. Let's do that one more time just to start to move deeper into this pose. Inhaling, feel the body, the rib cage, the back. And on the exhale, allow the weight of the body to sink towards the ground, especially the belly, the heart, and the head. So big stretch here as we draw the sit bones down towards those heels. Some of us might be really extending through the fingertips, even having your elbows float from the floor here. Check in with the whole body from the crown of the head to the fingertips and toes. Noticing areas in our body that maybe are holding a little bit of extra tension, try to soften and relax those areas. Honor and recognize any areas that we'll be taking care of today as well. So as we continue to let the low back and hips get a big stretch here, let's start to spread our awareness to the rhythm of our breath. Just observe the natural ebb and flow of the breath in and out through the nose. We'll let that breath naturally start to expand here. So we can start to lengthen it out on our inhales, try to sip in a little bit more air. The abdomen can still expand, but we might feel this breath moving more into the back of our body. And then lengthen out those exhales as well. So really take the time to empty the breath out, letting go of stale old air and energy. And again, just allowing the whole body to release and sink towards the ground. We'll take a couple more nice deep breaths here in this pose, and also checking in just mentally any sensations, feelings, or thoughts that might be floating around us today. Remembering that we make these observations without judgment. We're not here to label anything right or wrong, good or bad. We're simply acting as an observer, a witness from the outside looking in. One more breath in our pose. Biggest breath of our morning yet. So that next inhale, really try to fill yourself up as much as you can. Create as much space in the body as possible. And biggest exhale yet this morning. Again, empty, empty, empty. Clean everything out. Exhale every last drop. The next inhale, we'll re-extend the hands, spread the fingers, move the props out of the way if you have them, float the head up and the body up. And we'll position ourselves right into tabletop, so align your knees and your feet hips width apart, stacking shoulders over wrists, fingers spread nice and wide, press into the ground. Low belly gently rounds in, drishti slightly forward to keep your neck long. Maintain a nice level hips here across that low back, and simply stretch your right foot back behind you, opening up the eye of the knee. So getting the benefit now of decompressing the knee joints, let the blood rush through that leg. Right knee comes down, give your left leg a nice big stretch. So you can press that heel towards the ground to intensify that stretch. Feel the back of the knee opening. Equal weight in the hands. And we'll bring our left knee down. One more time, re-extend the right leg, but this time activate the right side to hover our right leg parallel to the floor, waking up our back muscles, the glutes and the hamstrings. Actively flex that right foot, toes pointing down. The inhale will stretch the left arm forward, palm faces in, the thumb points upwards into our balancing pose. So getting our brain into the mix here. Let's take one more inhale in the pose. This inhale, try to lift the arm and the leg just slightly higher. Exhale brings the hand and the knee back to tabletop. Again, not a lot of shifting. Use your lower abdominals for support. Stretch the left foot back. Use the left side to squeeze and hover your left leg parallel to the floor. Nice strong active leg and foot here. The inhale will lift the right arm up, palm in, thumb up. Breathe smoothly and evenly in and out through the nose. Next inhale, try to lift a little higher, strengthening even more of that back line. Exhale, hand and knee comes down. We'll do a little loosening here for the whole spine, our cat-cows. Remember your hand options, fingertips or fists for wrists to help decompress the wrists. Let your breath be your guide. The inhale takes you into your gentle back bend, relaxing the belly and lengthening from the tailbone to the crown of the head. The exhale draws the belly in, scoops the tailbone under, chin to chest, drishti to the belly button, rounding your back. So follow your rhythm. Really breathe that breath up and down the whole length of the spine. Get a little pelvic movement in there around the shoulder blades, the head and neck. And then come back to neutral position again. This time walk your hands about 1 hand's distance forward. We'll do some of those hip rolls to loosen up the area a little bit more. So as you exhale, pull your hips back towards the heels, swing them over to the left. Inhale, roll forward over those wrists, roll them to the right and back. So you're making a nice big circle clockwise here. If you need to take extra cushion underneath those knees, do so. And then as the body starts to warm, you might get a little bit more loosey-goosey here in the joints, kind of swimming around through the shoulders, the head and neck. These can be small circles. They can grow a little bit bigger as those muscles warm up. One more this direction. Next time your hips are in neutral, pulling back towards the heels, we'll reverse directions. So you'll swing your hips over to the right, roll forward over those wrists, to the left and back. And again, just follow the rhythm of your breath and let the body naturally start to loosen and move around in this pose. Weight out into the first knuckles of those fingertips. One more this direction. Next time those heels are pulling back towards the heels, tuck your toes under, continue to drop your heel or hips towards your heels, and let's come into Hasta Bandha here. So we'll take an active child's pose. So my toes are tucked under. I'm still trying to drop my sit bones towards my heels to stretch out the feet. I'm gonna rise up on my fingertips, rounding through the fingers, and float my wrists and elbows from the floor. The head doesn't need to touch the ground here. We're just decompressing our wrists for a moment and giving our back another nice big stretch. Inhale, float back up, flat palms. Again, your hand should be about 1 hand's distance forward. This inhale, we're gonna rock forward into our kneeling plank, so the toes are still tucked. If you need to adjust the length in your body, go ahead and do so. Exhale, lead with the navel, drop those hips back, take a bow. Inhale, rock yourself forward. So another way to loosen up the area around the hips and also get a little bit of our upper body and core strengthening. Exhale, pull it back. Adding on, inhale to our kneeling plank. Tiny little baby tricep push-up. Keep your head in line with your spine. Bend your elbows just an inch towards your rib cage, half chaturanga. Inhale, straighten those arms. Exhale, take a bow, just to give your wrists a break. Inhale moves us forward to kneeling plank, low belly pulls in. Exhale, you're bending your elbows back, maybe go a little further. Inhale, straighten those arms. Exhale, bow it back. One more. Inhale, kneeling plank. Spine stays in neutral. The only movement's at the elbow joint bending. Inhale, push it up. Exhale, bow it back. So the next time we come forward, we'll inhale to our kneeling plank. Try to maintain your neutral spine and slowly lower all the way down to our bellies today. So we'll come all the way down. If you need to make adjustments in your space, do so. Keep your hands tucked underneath the shoulders. Flatten out the tops of the feet to the floor. Keeping your feet nice and wide if you take care of your low back. Or zip up the toes and the heels for Bhujangasana, chin to the mat. The inhale floats the heart. And I really want you squeezing your elbows back. Start to use your glutes and your low back. We'll flow. So on the exhale, tuck your chin and drop your forehead to the floor. And then inhale, lift the chest. If you want more, float your hands up, squeezing your upper back. The exhale brings the hands and the forehead back down to the floor. Let's try one more. Cobra pose. Inhale, heart, head, maybe the hands, squeeze the back. Exhale, drop it down. This inhale will lift us into cobra, but this one we're going to try to hold. Don't hold your breath, keep breathing. Hands float up, whole backside waking up. Stretch your fingertips back towards your heels, palms down. So upper body's in our locust pose. On the inhale, try to lift one straight leg from the hip, half locust. Exhale it down. Inhale, try the other leg, give it a squeeze to lift, that back line working. Exhale. Repeat one leg at a time. Those of us that want to go into Purna Shalabhasana, inhale, breathing, the whole body lifts up, full locust. Remember to keep your feet wide if you take care of your low back. Big energizing pose here. This is like taking a shot of espresso. Big breath in. On our exhale, we'll flop to the floor. Turn the head to one side to come into Prone Shavasana. Arms flop to the ground, palms up. Your heels can roll open and the big toes can touch. Relax your low back, the buttocks. Take a big belly breath. So on the inhale, let your belly expand. It'll push into the floor, which will simultaneously stretch out the low back. Carefully turn your head the other direction and take one more big belly breath. And then chin forward, hands underneath our shoulders, tuck those toes under. This is more abdominal strength than anything. So really pull your inner belly in towards the back body. Press into your hands and knees, and we'll try to push back up to our kneeling plank. You may float your knees into full plank if you like. And we'll take a resting pose to stretch out our back. So you might drop back down to tabletop and take a couple baby cat-cows. Go gently. We just did some back bending, so give your muscles a chance to counter stretch. Those of you that are ready, you can tuck your toes under, draw in through the low belly, and float those hips up, back, and down. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. You can give your back a big stretch here. Those of us in down dog, feel free to take your dog for a walk. Talk about walking our dogs. If we're walking our own dog here, pedaling your heels one heel at a time, bending the opposite knee. Wonderful way to stretch out the backs, the legs, the calves, the hamstrings again. Fingers should be wide. Roll those upper arm bones away from the ears so the neck is long. Pull your shoulder blades down the back. Simultaneously root into the mound of the index finger and thumb, head just floating. Round front body to back body, draw your belly to your thighs, drawing those thighs to the back of our mat and the weight down through the heels. So let's all take one more breath here. Find some stillness in the pose as those heels sink down towards the ground. Our inhale, we'll look forward and we'll bring ourselves into our first forward fold, Uttanasana. Hands to feet, feet to hands. Feet are strong, parallel to each other. You may try to straighten your legs and come into ragdoll, grabbing opposite elbows or just reaching the arms towards the floor. Modify by bending your knees and placing the weight of your elbows or hands on your thighs. And we'll take a few breaths here as well. Trying to release tension out of the neck, the shoulders, the upper half of the body. This is a good pose to start thinking about those lower locks or bandhas, so the pelvic floor muscles, the perineum, contract and lift in and up. Uddiyana Bandha, lower abdominal lock, the muscles just below the belly button also contract and lift in and up. That will help protect your back. And then speaking of our back, let's do a little bit of our halfway lifts today. So on the inhale, hands to your shins or higher, lift your chest just like cobra pose, activate the upper back, try to flatten it out. You can gaze slightly forward. The exhale brings you back down to your fold. Inhale, halfway lift, strengthen the back, strong legs. Those of you that want more, add your arms into your locust arms. Palms will squeeze towards each other. Exhale to your fold. And just one more. Inhale, halfway lift, nice big squeeze. Use your arms if you want, good. This exhale sits us back into Utkatasana. Your arms float forward and up. We'll pause and breathe here, a nice, strong, powerful pose. Make sure your foundation is in alignment, toes pointing forward, knees to toes. Shrug the shoulders from the ears, let the head float. We'll go into some balance work here. Option to bring hands to heart, that feels better for your neck and shoulders, or keep the arms extended if you want to do a little bit more strengthening this morning. Without too much leaning, just try to squeeze and pick your right foot up from the floor into our little hover. Okay, we'll bring that foot down. Let's try the left foot, little hover. Bring both feet down, maybe sink a little further down. You're driving your sit bones back, low belly's in, rooting the tailbone towards the ground. Next inhale, we'll rise all the way up into extended mountain. So straighten up through the legs, reach the fingertips towards the ceiling, open up the front body, the front of the hips, gazing slightly upwards. Turn your palms out. Exhale, float the arms down, going right into Tadasana or mountain pose. So extend those fingertips away from the shoulders. Head is nice and light, floating on top of our shoulders. Firm foundation, so if you're not sure, look down. Make sure your feet are where you think they are. Unlock those knees, so no jamming of the knees backwards. Soften the knees, pull up through the quads. Pelvic floor muscle, root lock, Mula Bandha lifting. Uddiyana Bandha pulling in and up, and we're lengthening the upper buttock down towards the ground. So this is a nice important lesson to instill in our legs here as we move into some of our bigger standing poses next. Take one more nice deep breath in. And then on the exhale, we'll relax a little bit. So I forgot my chair. I'm gonna go grab my chair really quick. We're gonna get into our big standing straddle, Trikonasana, and then our Parsvottanasana that we've been doing the last couple of classes. So if you wanna use a chair, grab it. If you have yoga blocks, grab those. Especially first thing in the morning. I need a little extra support. One of my mentors and teachers, she always said, your props are like a good friend. They're there for you when you need them to support you. So this is my good friend today. But you can also use your props. So we'll start with Prasarita Padottanasana, our wide angle straddle stretch. So you'll have to organize yourself on your mat so that your feet are secure, placing your props in front of you. From Tadasana, you'll just open the body out, taking a big step in our neutral position. When we set up in our neutral position, toes are pointing straight forward. So the lateral edge of the feet are running parallel to the short ends of the yoga mat. And maybe your feet are almost as open as your wrists, and you're in a nice secure space. Arms are nice and strong. Remember, no tension in the face or the throat. From here, we'll exhale, bring our hands to our hips, and you're literally grabbing on to that top rim of your hip bones around your pelvic bowl. And now we'll turn the toes slightly in. So you're a little bit more pigeon-toed. This is internal rotation for those thighs, which encourages an anterior tilt in the pelvis. Remember, when we move into this pose, no diving and rounding down. That doesn't give us the stretch where we want it, and it compromises your spinal alignment. So on the inhale, pick up your toes, strengthen your quads, pull the belly in, open the chest, and then as you exhale, you start to pour your pelvis forward. We'll stop about halfway. Make sure your knees are unlocked, that you're rooting through the four corners of each foot. The front of the spine is long. The inhale creates more length and space. Your exhale, maybe you go a little further. Really pull into that low belly to protect your low back. And we will hold again for several breaths. So we'll just let those muscles get a big stretch of the backs of the legs, the inner thighs here. If you're moving a little further into the pose, fingertips underneath your shoulders onto your blocks or the floor. So you don't want to transfer all the weight into the hands if your hands are moving towards something. You still want to keep the power in the legs and the abdominals. Maybe going a little further, walking hands between the feet, fingertips in line with the toes. You might be able to bend your elbows back like the legs of a bird. Your drishti stays underneath the tip of the nose if you want to do a little compression for the back of the neck. Or those of you deeper in the pose, you might be able to drop the head and look between your legs and turn it into more of an inversion. One more breath in the pose. Inhale, halfway lift. Those of you that have gone deeper into the pose, take your time. You need to walk your hands back forward, find your fingertips so that the strength goes back into the legs and the core. The exhale will bring one hand at a time back to those hips. And then as you inhale, use your legs, come up to the crown of the head. Big breath in. Try to inhale even more fresh air for our brain. Reach your arms up this time overhead. Bring your palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. So we'll move right into Utthita Trikonasana from here. If you're using a prop, go ahead and organize your props to the right-hand side of your body. Arms will extend back out from the shoulders when we get there. So you want to parallel your feet to start. So if your toes are still turned in, point your toes straight forward. We'll pick up our right toes. You'll pivot on the heel to point your right toes straight forward, externally rotating that thigh, but keeping the chest and the heart open. Have a look down. Make sure your knee is also pointing towards the middle of your right foot. We'll tip a little bit in the pelvis. So you'll do a little sinking into that right hip crease, but keep the side bodies long. I'm not turning at the torso. I'm tipping at the pelvis. So my spine and neck are in a straight line. You can inhale and reach forward into the extended part, Utthita, and then exhale your choice. Unsupported triangle brings the hand to the inside of the leg. Left arm reaches up, or to a prop. Again, if you're using a prop or your hand touches the floor, fingertips. I like to encourage fingertips instead of a flat palm. When we put our palm down, we tend to shift all our weight into that hand. But if you're up on your fingertips, it reminds you to stay connected to your waist and your abdominal muscles. Don't collapse your right knee, so soften that knee. We're getting a nice stretch up the inner thigh, back of the leg. Pretend like you're leaning against a wall, a little bit of heart opening rotation. Draw your right rib cage forward, left shoulder back. Maybe the drishti moves up to the top thumb. Notice your breath. Wonderful pose here to open up those area around the hips and thighs and all the way up through the upper body. So give me one more breath in the pose. So our next inhale is a powerful inhalation. If you have weight in the hands, you need to bring it out, bring it back to the legs and the core. And the inhale pulls us up out of the pose. Turn your right toes straight forward, neutral position. If you have a prop that you need to organize, take a moment here to move to the other side. Mindfully, let this be part of our practice, especially if you're twisting and turning. So reestablish your neutral position here, feet parallel, pick up the left toes, turning your left toes now to the opposite end of the mat, rolling that thigh open so you can contract up the outer thigh, create length through the inner leg from the inner groin to the heel. Tip a little bit into that pelvis, but you're lengthening up through the sides. Inhale, extending over towards those toes, and then exhale your arms into your windmill. If you feel like you're losing the grip in the legs, pick up your toes, soften the knees. You can still think about those lower bandhas and locks in the body, pelvic floor, lower abdominals. As we start to receive the stretch up the back and inner thigh of the left leg, we can also roll the heart open, drawing left rib cage forward, right rib cage back, left arm extends up. Drishti might move to the top thumb, but you'll place your gaze whatever is best for your neck. One more breath. Again, if you have weight in your hand, make sure you're up on your fingertips, the legs take over. Our next inhale is that powerful breath to reach and inhale up out of the pose, parallel the arms, turn your left toes forward, exhale, noodle, loosen your arms, just let them hang, roll your shoulders out a couple times, turn the head gently side to side. And then heel toes, step those feet together. And we'll move into Parsvottanasana to our left side first, since that's where we already have our props if we were using them. And today, instead of starting from neutral position, we'll just turn to face that short end of our mat. So facing towards your props and standing back in Tadasana or mountain pose. So you will have a few inches between your feet. Your hips are now squaring to the short end of your yoga mat. Ears over shoulders. Bring your hands back onto those hips. Continue to draw front body to back body, lengthening the upper buttocks to the ground. Step your right foot back a couple feet behind you in that same line, so we're not on a tightrope. Your right toes will angle out maybe 15, 20 degrees. Draw your right hip forward, left hip back. Same thing, I don't want you diving and rounding into this pose. We want to get the movement here from the pelvis. So inhale, open the heart. As you exhale, start to pour your pelvis forward again. So we should feel this up the back of the left leg. Make sure your knees are unlocked, pull up through the quads, try to keep your hips and low back nice and level. And then again, as the breath takes us there, we might start to go a little further as those muscles start to lengthen. The inhale creates space. The exhale, maybe we move into that space. So those of you that are able to bring your fingertips safely towards the ground without rounding the spine, you can go there. Maybe drishti to that big toe. And then you might be able to frame the foot with the fingertips. And if you're at that step in the pose, you can do a little bit of rounding. It'll help stretch the connective tissue of the back. And you add Jalandhara Bandha, so your throat lock to chin to chest. And you try to bring your forehead to the knee. And that compression also feels quite nice just for the nervous system there as well. But don't force, just let things open up naturally here. Notice the weight in the feet. If you're favoring one side over the other, try to keep balance equally. You may shift your weight forward to back to change the effects of the pose on the body. We'll all take one more breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Take weight out of the fingertips if you're down at the ground. Energize your legs, pull the low belly in. Exhale, one hand at a time to those hips. Press off your front foot as you inhale. We're coming up through the crown of the head, restacking the spine. Exhale, steps your right foot back forward into Tadasana. Extend your fingertips down. Try to keep your focus and just observe the body, the breath, the brain. Hands come back onto those hips. Step the left foot back, same amount of distance. The toes will angle out about 15, 20 degrees. Shift your left hip forward, right hip back, making sure your hips are square to the front corners of your mat. Unlock the knees, pull in through the low belly, open the heart as you inhale, and as you exhale, take that pelvis and pour it forward, leading with the heart. And you really want to be rooting down through the mount of the big toe inner heel, mount of the pinky toe outer heel, and both feet. We'll start to feel that stretch up the back of the right leg now. Keep your hips and low back nice and level. And just follow the breath. The breath is the guide. It leads us in and out of our pose. And it also helps keep our focus and concentration. If you're moving a little further into the posture on your fingertips, you can start to frame your foot with the fingers, the hands, draw belly to thighs, eventually rounding slightly, throat lock, chin to chest, and trying to draw your forehead towards that knee. Try to keep your weight evenly balanced. If anything, maybe just shift it front to back a little bit to change the effects of the stance on the pose. One more breath. Inhale, halfway lift, open the chest. Take weight out of the hands, strong legs and core. Exhale, one hand at a time to those hips, root the tailbone. Inhale, press off your front foot to float all the way up. Exhale, steps us back forward, right into Tadasana. Extend the fingertips away from the ears. Simply observe the body. Take one more nice deep breath in. And exhale, let it go. So if we have props around us, let's move them out of the way so we can do another little bit of balance in a safe space here. Come back into your space, and this time we'll bring the insides of the legs and feet to touch, standing nice and tall. On the inhale, draw a nice big circle out to the sides of the room and up towards the ceiling. Bring the palms to touch, and exhale the hands to the heart. So we'll move into Vrikshasana, our tree pose today. Hover the right heel at that hip, open the knee out to the side. And of course, any variation of tree pose you'd like to play with today, toes might stay down, sole the foot softly below the standing leg, or lifting it up. Avoid pressing the foot into that standing knee. Soften all the muscles on the face, keep your gaze nice and soft and steady. We want to add a little bit more dimension, maybe adding some branches out or overhead. Continue to draw in through those lower abdominal muscles. We might feel our breeze blowing us around. We might create a purposeful breeze to challenge our balance here. Another option is to take chin mudra in the hands and try to close the eyes in your blind balancing. Just make sure that when you fall in a safe space. Blind balancing, really great for our brain, but super challenging. Let's all take another nice deep breath in. Our exhale will bring us back to center, hands to heart. Point the knee forward, try to lift the thigh up. From there, extend the foot forward without leaning back. Use your muscles for 3, 2, 1. Lower the foot down, Samasthiti, standing stillness. Try to make as few movements as possible. Just focus on the breath. Inhale, one more time, draw a nice big circle out and up. Extend the front of the body. Exhale, hands to heart. Recenter your focus and your eyes on one spot. Hover the left heel. Open the knee out. Trying to find symmetry here. Ideally, we'd be placing this foot in the exact same position we placed on our first side. Contracting the outer knee to outer hip to help open the hip from the front. Lifting the heart up towards the hands. Any variation you'd like to explore today? A little bit of blind balancing. I always take chin mudra, our seal of wisdom. It helps me concentrate. Trying to either just blink the eyes or eventually close them, and you might be flying all over the room when you close your eyes and shaking like a leaf, but that's okay, we're in tree pose. We take one more big breath in. On the exhale, hands come back to center. You can blink your eyes open if they're closed, or try it blind. Point the knee forward, lift the thigh up. Stay nice and tall through the crown of the head. Just try to extend your foot forward. So a lot of strengthening here for 3, 2, 1. Samasthiti, standing stillness, foot to foot. Keep your focus and concentration. And then let it go. All right, good job, y'all. So let's make a transition towards the ground. What I'm gonna do is move through downward facing dog into Kapotanasana, or pigeon pose. Prone pigeon isn't for everybody because of our knees. So your alternative, if you don't wanna come into pigeon pose on the belly, will be to work your way into your back, cross one ankle with a nice flexed foot over the opposite thigh, and then you'll be in figure 4 pose, encouraging the thigh away from you there. To intensify, float the opposite leg up, holding behind the thigh, stretching that leg up, or reaching across the shin bone and holding and breathing there, and you'll still get a nice deep stretch. Those of us that want to move to pigeon pose through downward facing dog, we'll come back to mountain pose towards the top of our mat, and just notice our posture and our alignment, setting our intentions for the rest of our day when we're standing nice and tall. Take a nice deep breath, inhale, reach those arms overhead, drishti to the thumbs for a gentle back bend. This exhale micro bends the knees, hinges from the hips, lead with the heart back to your forward fold. Whatever that looks like for you today, we'll pause for a moment. Inhale, halfway lift. This exhale bends the knees, plants the hands, and takes a big step back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Find your alignment here, let the back stretch out again. We'll do the right side first, so inhale the right leg up. The exhale pulls your right knee forward into that runner's plank, and then you draw the right knee behind your right wrist out at an angle, 15-20 degrees out to the long edge of your yoga mat. Now I have my right foot that's underneath me slightly active. I'm gonna wiggle my left foot back a little bit so that I can lower my hips equally towards the ground. Place a pillow or a prop underneath your right thigh if you want a little bit more support. You should not feel this anywhere around your right knee. If you do, lie on your back and do your figure 4 pose. Now, some of you might be able to bring your shin bone more parallel to the front edge of your yoga mat. I will never be able to do that in my lifetime, and that's okay. I'm still gonna get a nice big stretch. And you can flatten out the top of the foot, create some space through the front of the body. Again, you want your hips and low back sinking equally towards the ground. You might have a prop waiting for you in front for the head or the arms. And those of us that want will follow our breath going a little bit further into the pose. So we should feel this in the outer right thigh, deep into those rotators, the piriformis. Use your exhale to release any tension and tightness we might find. If you're a jaw clencher, poof those cheeks with air, or at any time open the mouth and just let out a nice big sighing breath. We will hold for several breaths. Try to relax the upper back and shoulders as much as possible. If you've come all the way down towards the ground, you can walk your hands forward to get a little bit deeper into the pose, or flare your elbows out and try to rest your head on your forearms. One more breath. Our next inhale will float the head up. Take your time to come out. So if you've gone a little further into your pose today, elbow, elbow, hand to hand. Now tuck those back toes under and inch yourself slightly forward. And then you're pressing into the ground. You want to bring your body weight off of your knee. And then from there, carefully stretch your right leg out. Some people like to roll and stir the pot and that hip a couple times, or drop the foot back to the floor and pedal your heels and down dog, just to get the blood rushing through that compressed knee. If you're on your back, plant your feet to the floor, rock your knees side to side, or hug your knees up into the body to massage your back before we do the other side. So down dog people, other side, inhale the left leg up. As you exhale, you're pulling your left knee forward as far as you can through that plank. Activate the left foot. Turn your left knee out behind your left wrist to the long edge of your yoga mat. From there, slide your right foot a little further back so that the hips equally sink towards the ground. Take support underneath that left thigh. You may try to encourage your shin bone forward, but again, do not compromise the knee. It's not worth it. Create some space in the front body. You can soften the back of the foot when you're ready. And again, on the exhale, maybe we go a little further. Not surprised when one side feels quite different than the other. And if you have a really big difference in your body after class today, I would recommend repeating this pose on the side that was tighter. So you're practicing 2 to 1. Both sides get the benefits of it, but you got to go back to the side that needs it a little bit more and just give that side a little extra TLC. One more big breath on this side. Last chance to let go of everything we can let go of. Exhale, let it out. Our inhale will slowly bring us out of the pose. Take your time, mindful movements. Back toes tucked under. Try to inch your back leg slightly more forward so you can take some weight into your hands. Draw that belly in, push the ground away from you, bringing weight off that knee, stretch it out. Again, if you're on your back, you can hug the knees in, massage, windshield wiper, and we're gonna meet you in just a second. So my down dog people, let's inhale, lift those heels up as high as they'll go today, stretch out the toes and the soles of the feet. On the exhale, we'll drop to our knees, point the toes, sink the hips to the heels, sliding the hands all the way back to the feet, bowing the head down. Just relax your shoulders, stretch out that back for a moment. And then hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. And on our inhale, we'll round up vertebra by vertebra, restacking the head on top of the shoulders. We'll shift our weight over to either hip and bring our feet forward. So while we're seated upright here and we're organizing ourselves on our mats, go ahead and gather up your strap. And anything else you might want to have, bring it closer to your yoga mat so you don't have to go searching too much when we get into final relaxation. To come onto our back today, remember walking down on your hands, safest way to go. If you want to bring a little bit of that strengthening back into it, plant your feet towards, or on the ground towards the front of your mat so you have space behind you. Let your knees fall open a little wider than the hips. We do round the spine here, it's articulation. We reach the fingertips forward, round the low belly in, and then you slowly try to lower down, rolling through the whole length of the back. So really pulling in through the navel, reaching forward, grounding my sacrum and low back, the lumbar, the mid back, the shoulders, the head. Once we find the ground, reach your arms overhead, stretch your legs all the way out, long body stretch, flex your feet, spread your fingers and toes, feel the rib cage, the belly open, gentle arch of the back. Big inhale, stretch, stretch, stretch. Exhale, let it go, float those arms down. Walk the feet in, we'll have to organize things, loosen things up, move your ponytails out of the way. So we're moving into our Supta Padangusthasana, nice big stretching for the lower half of the body. We'll start with our right side. So walk your feet in towards you, make sure your low back is nice and grounded. Take a hold of the strap. We'll bend our right knee in, and we're taking the strap to the lower arch of the foot closer to the heel, and then extending the leg up. We're trying to open up the eye of the knee and get that leg as straight as possible. So some of us might need to take tension off the belt and actually let the leg fall away from us slightly until it starts to straighten out. And you're pressing that heel forward into the strap. Hold the strap in both hands so the chest and heart stay open. From there, you might draw the leg up towards the ceiling and closer towards the shoulder. Personally, I like to reach up as high as I can on my strap so my shoulders are kind of dangling from the floor. I loop the strap around my hands so I don't have to do so much work. And then I just allow the weight of my arms to draw those bones in towards each other, thigh bone pulling down into the hip socket. A little bit deeper, slide your left heel forward. That foot is just as flexed, and you're anchoring your left leg to the ground. Now we'll take hold of the strap in our right hand. Place your left hand on the left hip. Left side stays down. Use your abdominals, the weight of that leg. Keep your low back flat to the floor. On your inhale, you want to get the thigh to bend up towards the body. So bend the knee a little bit till your thigh bone is angled upwards. And then bend the right elbow and open the leg to the right. So the elbow's a kickstand. I keep tension on the strap. From there, I try to re-extend the leg out as straight as possible. Flare those toes, press the heels away from you, receiving the stretch up that inner thigh across the pelvis. Left arm reaches from the left shoulder, head turns to the left. Take a couple breaths. Inhale, float the head and the leg back up. Take a hold of the strap in the left hand. Right hand encourages your right hip to stay down. So there's a dynamic tension here. I am pulling my right thigh bone down into my hip socket, keeping the leg as straight as possible, guiding the leg over in space at a diagonal across the midline, and then I get into all this wonderful sensations in this outer hip. So massage into those muscles, that connective tissue, make a fist, punch into that area. Moving into the twist. Keep tension on the belt. Left elbow bends, that's your kickstand. Guiding the leg over. Probably will not touch the ground. Let your right hip come up. Drop your right shoulder back down. Right arm reaches out from the shoulder. Head turns to the right. Close the eyes. Simply be and breathe. Relax the face, the throat, the shoulders. Inhale, help the leg up, bring the head back to neutral. Open the strap up, slide your right foot in and bring it up. Pause and waterfall pose to neutralize and realign. Just take a break, notice any sensations, observe. Right foot comes down to the floor. Lengthen out that left leg as much as possible, even if you let it fall away from you at first. And then press that foot up into the strap as you draw the leg back towards the shoulder, straight up towards the ceiling. Adjust your hand grip. Either keep your hands nice and soft or let the arms dangle, whatever feels like. You can keep balance here and the chest open. Deepen the stretch by sliding the right heel forward to the front of your mat. The right foot is actively flexing. Anchor the right leg to the ground. Try to create as much space from the inner thighs down to that inner ankle as possible. Left hand holds on. Right hand anchors the right hip. Whole right side body stays down, low back stays flat. Now draw the thigh bone closer towards the body. Bend the knee as much as you need to get that thigh bone to angle upwards. From there, bend the left elbow, open the leg to the left. And then try to re-extend the leg so the leg is more up. It should be a little higher than the hip. Keep your shoulders grounded. Right arm extends from the shoulder, turn the head to the right. Take a couple breaths. Our inhale will float the leg back up. Bring the right hand onto the strap. Left hand pulls that left hip back down to the ground, that dynamic tension. Pulling left thigh bone down as you angle the straight leg across the midline at a diagonal. Trying to target that IT band. Massage. Moving into the twist, right elbow bends, that's our kickstand. We allow the left hip to lift up. The leg probably will not touch the floor. Keep tension on the belt. Sink your left shoulder down. Extend the left arm from the shoulder, turn the head to the left. Close the eyes, relax the face, and breathe. The inhale will float the leg and the head back up to neutral. Open that strap up and bring the right foot up. Pause here for a moment. And then bend those knees, slide the strap off, place it off to the side of the mat. Wiggle out your fingertips for a moment, dead bug pose. Cross one ankle over the other. We're just allowing the weight of the knees to drop into the body. Extend the arm bones straight up to the ceiling, but flop your hands forward and dangle your fingertips. Just allowing all that blood to rush out from the extremities here. Relax the back of the head and the shoulders. Cross the opposite ankle on top. Take a breath or two. Relax the fingertips and the feet. Uncross those ankles, hug those knees in. Draw the nose up towards the knees to stretch out the upper back. And then we're going to drop our feet back down to the floor, nice and close to the sit bones. A little bit of space between the knees and the feet. If you happen to have your yoga block and it's nearby, you're welcome to place the yoga block between your inner thighs. We'll take Setu Bandhasan bridge pose to stretch out the front of our hips from the flexion that we just did before we go into our final relaxation. So draw your shoulder blades under. Anchor your arms down beside you. Squeeze the buttocks, the hamstrings, the low back, and start to inhale to float your hips straight up to the ceiling. Give your block a squeeze if it's there. If it's not there, just continue to point your knees forward towards your toes. Try to walk the shoulder blades under a little further, either holding on to the ankles or sliding your arms underneath the body into evolve 10 fingers. The neck should still be naturally arched up off the ground. The weight is in the meaty part of the shoulders. You're squeezing and strengthening the backside to stretch the front. Chest moves towards the chin. Avoid tucking the chin towards the chest. An inversion here as well. Keep the breath flowing in and out through the nose. One more big breath in, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze to lift and stretch. The exhale will slide the arms out, melting the back down to the ground. Take your time. Take the prop out. Practice the arms from the shoulders, opening the heart. Open the feet wider than the hips and gently rock your knees side to side. Little gentle back bend and gentle twist. Knees will come back to neutral. Use the core to pull them back in towards the body. This time, try to reach your arms across the shin bones, giving our body a nice big hug, floating the nose up towards the knees. Thanking and appreciating ourselves and our bodies this morning for our practice. Nice deep breath in. And on this exhale, we're gonna let it go. So if you're comfortable where you are, feel free to just flop to the floor here. Knees staying bent and together helps take pressure out of the low back. Or roll to one side and start to gather up your props. If you happen to have a chair nearby and you want to swing your legs up the chair, you're welcome to do that. If you're near a wall and you want to slide your legs and go into legs up the wall to help take pressure out of the joints of the knees and the ankles, support the back of your head. Use your bigger pillows to support the back or underneath the thighs. You're also welcome to go into Baddha Konasana here, bringing the soles of the feet to touch and the knees falling open. Adjust the shoulders, use your eye coverings to help the body relax a little bit more quickly. I'll give us all a few moments here to organize and situate ourselves. I'll guide us through a little bit of verbal relaxation and then give us several moments of peace and quiet. And then use my singing bowl to bring us out so that we can finish our class together today. Remember, we want to put just as much concentration and effort going into our final relaxation, just like we did every other pose. So as much concentration as you put into going into tree pose today, that's the same amount of effort we put into this pose. We want to find symmetry as much as we can in the body, through the back of the head, the shoulder blades, the distance of our arms away from our body. Anchoring and releasing that low back towards the earth. Finding symmetry in our legs. The distance of the feet. And then closing the eyes and allowing those eyes to sink into the sockets. Poof the cheeks, wiggle out the mouth. With the lips softly touching, releasing the tongue and lower jaw to gravity. Relaxing all the little muscles across the face, especially across the forehead, the brow, and softening the eyebrow center. Resting the mind's eye at the third eye, our place of intuition and wisdom. Feel the weight of the arms as we sink the shoulders, elbows, and backs of the hands into the ground. Let the heart and chest open as it stretches and relaxes. Sink the back of the heart between the shoulder blades towards the ground. Relax around the waist. Relax the belly completely. All of the abdominal muscles and internal organs. We might notice a gentle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Relax the larger muscles of the buttocks, the hips and thighs. And just like water, let that relaxation flow down the legs, behind the knees, into the ankles, the feet, and toes. Relaxing the whole body. The breath becomes soft, easy, and quiet. If the mind wanders, gently bring it back to the peaceful breath or rested at that eyebrow center. Giving ourselves just one more moment to let go, to relax, and simply be and breathe. Slowly coming back to our breath in the body. And breathing life back into the body as we wake up the toes, fingertips, rock the head side to side, roll the ankles and the wrists. Inhale, reaches the arms overhead. Big stretch from side to side, front to back. Spread those fingers, spread those toes. Create as much space in the body as possible, taking another deep breath in. On the exhale, float the arms down, walk the feet in, draw the belly in to hug the knees in. Little rock side to side to massage the back. Right arm falls beside the head, rolling all the way over onto our right, pausing in Supta Balasana, sleeping baby pose. Taking a moment to reflect on our practice this morning. And maybe setting a positive intention or mantra to take with us from our practice into our day. Keep the eyes closed or soft, press into the ground. We'll bring our bodies back up, visiting any comfortable seated posture in our space and being mindful of the area around us. Sit up nice and tall on the sit bones, crown of the head lengthening up towards the ceiling. Extend the arms out from the body, palms up. Another nice deep breath in to float those arms up to the ceiling and to gather up everything we need for the rest of this beautiful day. Turn those palms out, even bigger breath out. Float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. And let's take one more big breath in together. Reach those arms up towards the ceiling. Palms touch, exhaling hands to heart. Humbly bowing our head down towards the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, being grateful to anyone else in our lives that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. And remembering to be grateful and thankful to our mothers and anyone else out there who's ever been to a mom to us and each other. And I thank you all for your patience and your practice and your continued support. So hope you enjoy the rest of this gorgeous day. We've been serenaded by the birds the whole time. I don't know if you all can hear the birds chirping out the window.
Yeah, we couldn't hear your music. We wouldn't have been able to hear music, but the birds provided a nice song.
They get really loud out there, but it is just absolutely gorgeous today.
Well,
So
the
pretty
birds were
out
our music today.
Yes, they are. So happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Thank you.